Hi, my name is Art. I teach Python, and in this video, I'm going to explain you tuples. All right, sometimes people call them tuples, but in my opinion, potato patata, no matter what you call them, you should just understand behavior of a tuple. All right, so let's start with a list. Suppose we have Python list, and suppose we have something like 10, 20, 30. All right, so let me remind you, what is a list? List is mutable. It's a sequential data type sequence of items separated by a comma, right? So it's mutable, and what we could do, we could grab the first item, let's say 10, and we could easily reassign the value. We could easily reassign the value to 100 maybe. All right, so let's take a look. So now you see, now we have this 100, 20, 30. So using index, we reassign the value. All right, now let's convert list to tuple. So I hope you remember where to find Python built-in functions. So there is function tuple, and we could convert list to tuple. Now visually there is no such a big difference because we got same items. Keep in mind that we have replaced 10 with 100, but if you take a closer look, when we initialize list, we use square brackets. And when we use a tuple, we use round brackets. So that's the first visual difference. If you see parentheses or round brackets, whatever you want to call them, so that would be a tuple. Square brackets would be list, right? Now let me first show you what the difference is, and then I'll explain it to you. So suppose I want to index that first item, which now is 100, and suppose I want to redo the same trick and assign it to 10. And you see now it's not working. Why? Because comparing to a list, tuple is immutable, so means cannot be changed. Sometimes people would say that tuple is a mutable list. I think this is too simple because tuple is much more. First of all, how could you get a tuple in real life? Now, tuple, when you fetch data from relational database, that data would be coming in the form of a tuple. So let me show you an example. Suppose we have an employee, and suppose we have a company database, and in the database we have information about all the employees who work in the company. So then that information would be coming as something like this. So they're going to be probably employee ID, right? So that's going to be first item. Then maybe social security, something like that. And then first name, let's say John. And then second name, I don't know, Johnson. All right. So now that information comes as a tuple. Again, if you're not sure, my advice to you, always run type on employee, and you see that's a tuple. All right. So how do you deal with tuples? First of all, if you get a tuple or any other data structure, think of it as a package. You need to unpack that tuple. All right, so how can I unpack this? Now, suppose I want to grab just the first name. So since it's also sequential data type, I could index it. So John would be what index? It would be 0, 1, 2, so 2, and I could get 2, and I could get name John out of that tuple, right? That's totally fine. However, if we do index 0, index 1, index 2, index 3, and maybe more, then it will be kind of confusing. So there is another option how you could do it. There is a thing called simultaneous assignments. So since this tuple contains 4 values, we could provide 4 variable names. All right, let's give it a try. So first will be employee ID. That would be my first variable name. Then they're going to be like social security. Then they're going to be first for a first name, and then they're going to be last for a last name. So now if I want to grab the same first name, you see, that's less confusing because you see first and it kind of makes sense that that's a first name. And again, the point I'm trying to make here is that you could index tuple and that's totally fine. However, it would be much cleaner way to provide variable names for each value in the tuple. All right, so that's how you could do it. Another question I always get, since tuple is immutable, can you actually iterate through that tuple? As I always say, give it a try, see if it works. Even if it won't work, at least you learn something. But let's give it a try. So how do we do a for loop? We need to use a for loop. So for item in employee. All right, so let's stop right here and let's print item. And let's print item. And you see we get all the values from the tuple. All right, so you could also iterate through the tuple. So bottom line is, the main thing you have to understand, and that's what they're going to ask you during the job interview, you need to understand the difference between the list and the tuple. So list is mutable, means can be changed, and tuple is immutable, means cannot be changed. And we're going to be talking about other data structures in my videos, so please watch all of them, and we'll be talking about string. All right, thank you, and I'll see you